filled with capital and opportunity, so there was just like thousands of new product launches, and I think that's created a lot of noise and confusion and distraction for both buyers, consumers, investors, and so a lot of that has pulled back and the tide has changed, and now it went from like expansion to contraction, and a lot of brands have been dying and a lot of consolidation has been happening. So I think despite all that noise, we are seeing a lot of strong Asian brands like really being able to penetrate to the mainstream, and we just saw Siete, a Mexican-American brand, be acquired by Pepsi for $1.2 billion, and definitely we're going to see some Asian brands, food brands following suit because you know, it's inevitable. Like with our growing population and diversity in Asian cuisine, I think we're definitely going to see, you know, our time is now, I think, and we just have to continue course, and the strong brands that are actually feeling the need and creating value are going to survive.
I think you said it right. Like now is the time, right? Like we're on the cusp of like the Asian wave when it comes to products going mainstream. And I think Pepsi's acquisition of Siete really, like they were on this trend like years ago, right? But just the size of the acquisition really points to their belief that kind of the Hispanic and just generally kind of the multicultural, you know, food and beverage products. That's the future, right? And so it's really exciting. Jake, how about you? As you look out next 3 to 5 years, any products, trends that you think are worth highlighting?
Yeah, just to build on to Carol and Taufeek. So I also founded a committee called foundersheritage.org. We're about 200 founders within the global flavor international space. And one of the trends I get really excited about is this idea of granularity. And what I mean by that is, you know, we look at the startups, look at all the successful products, even the emerging products. I love the idea that we have very specific cuisines, very specific dishes from each of the cuisines being brought out to market. So maybe 5 or 10 years ago, you know, you would ask the standard American family, like, what do they want for dinner? And they would say, something Asian. These days, when you ask them, they never say that. You know, I want Vietnamese food, you know, I want pho, I want Chinese food, I want Japanese food. So if you look at a lot of the new products coming out in the market in the last few years, you have a Sichuan chili crisp, right? Very specific. It's not an Asian chili crisp, it's a Sichuan from the Sichuan province, right? And so, you know, if you look at kind of the world of Asian cuisine, there are so many individual dishes, individual like condiments that are so ripe for bringing out to the market. In the past, it was tricky because education is really hard to get out there. But what's happening with social media and like the general appetite for these cuisines are people are educating themselves. You go on TikTok, Instagram, you even Google it, it'll tell you everything you need to know about these specific dishes, and people just get so excited for it.
Jake, you touched on something very interesting about social media. How are you guys getting the word out there? Like, you know, to drive trial, to drive interest. Like, what are some strategies that you employ? You know, whether it's social media, whether it's content, whether it's, you know, anything that you could share of what's worked for you all. Carol.
For us, it's liquid to lips. I think obviously for any beverage brand, any food brand, that's important. But because it's still hard for me to try to describe what makgeolli tastes like. And so it's like, you just have to try it. And so anything that will get our product into people's mouths, we do. That's our like 100% focus of our marketing. So we'll usually sponsor a lot of events. We'll have our own events. We'll do a lot of demos, tablings, restaurant activations. So that's the sole focus. We don't do anything influencer. Digital marketing is not a priority of ours because D2C, direct to consumer, is not a thing in alcohol, especially within our subsegment. So right now it's in-person events, anything to get people to sample our product.
Yeah, so good question. So for us, starting Lola's, we were kind of all over the board, you know, trying different things, like throwing darts on a board, seeing which strategy would stick. And now we've really evolved with our incredible team. We've really focused on the areas of where we want to improve and to be laser focused on the drive that brings things. So lately for us, our focus is on influencer and D2C, but that's because I know alcohol, it's hard to ship it to somebody's home. But with hot sauce, we can send it to everywhere. And a lot of our brand awareness has been driven through the retailers, and we still want to continue to drive that forward by increasing velocities, investing with the Walmarts of the world, investing with the Hy-Vees, the Meijers, the H-E-Bs. So investing there where we can do samples, demos, marketing, and just being really strategic about it and narrowing the focus that actually means results. Because our team is constantly measuring, okay, well, how did this campaign do last quarter? What does the spins or IRI data show? And so really we're driving home with that. And then of course, influencer and e-commerce, PPC, we're really driving that home, and we've invested heavily in it. And you're gonna see a lot of cool Lola stuff coming out soon. So that's how we expend our capital for marketing.
Awesome. Jake, how about you?
I don't know about the word investing, but we've been doing a lot of TikToks. So visit us on Fila, and I apologize, because most of them is just my face talking on camera. But we got lucky because we got a lot of good engagement, particularly about dealing about the story of entrepreneurship, right? So if you look at our page, like one of our viral videos is like surprising my mom at Target, and truth be told, that was the 10th take. You want to get a good reaction. And so I think people, the audience, they want to know more about the product. I mean, they know when they're being sold to, they just want to learn about the story. Like, what's the story behind the brand? And what's the story behind you building it? And they just want to be there for all the ups and downs. And that's the things that we're trying to communicate out to our audience.
That's great. And we're going to open it up to the audience Q&A in a bit. I want to touch upon one point. I think it was Taufeek talking about the grit. This is our strength. Like, growing up with parents that just work 3 different jobs, 7 days a week. You talk about grit. Like, this is one aspect I feel really makes Asian and what we do, like, it's a competitive advantage. And so, what would you say to anyone here in the room that has an idea, they want to try it? What do they do as a first step on getting their product in, like, just doing R&D? Like, any advice that you would give? Maybe Carol.
I think you really, really have to have passion and belief in your idea, because you're going to get beat down over and over and over again. And even there are times that I went into investor pitch, and at the end the investor was like, "Do you believe in your product? Because it doesn't sound like you do." And that's not the type of presentation you want to be giving. And at that time it was true. It's because it had been about my 50th pitch, and I was just so over it. I was exhausted. So that's number one. If you're not in it 100%, like, don't even start. You're wasting your time. And then after that, I think try to do the upfront legwork of seeing if there's actually demand and differentiation for your product. Because, yeah, I think if you're not finding demand, you're just like building something and then you're looking for people to come for it after, that's like the wrong order. You have to do all the testing, talk to buyers, talk to consumers, do as much testing you can for as cheap as you can. And then once you have a field of like early adopters that are going to help you R&D, help you get in the doors, help spread the word, then I think you can think about starting a business.
That's awesome. And Brian, you put it very well. We hustle. Like, you tap into your energy, like you have this. And my words of wisdom, everything that she said, but just get after it, go get it, and you gotta do it. If you love what you do, you keep that energy level up, you keep consistent, you keep focused on what you're passionate about, and if you really love your brand and what you're doing in your mission, you're gonna succeed, and you're gonna find a way to make it work. Being Asian, being Pakapino, whatever, we're all in the same boat here. You can tap into that strength that you have and just really get after it. You know what I mean? There's no giving up, and all the situations that put you in pain or stressful, you learn from those situations and you can drive it forward and use it as a tool to help propel your business forward. So hustle is the big key word.
Nicely said, Jake.
You gotta trademark that Pakapino. I'm gonna do it now. Go to the USPTO and trademark that.
That's our new slogan.
I would say it's starting a food business or an idea. It's probably not as difficult as you think it is. I think a lot of people get daunted by the idea of you gotta deal with all these regulatory and all these things, but actually it's a lot easier. I mean, Taufeek shared the story that him and his mom sold it in farmers markets, right? When I started Fila Manila, I bought a few things on Amazon and I made it in my kitchen, and that's what I showed the Whole Foods buyer. And so my advice is like, it's not as difficult or as daunting as you think it is. Like start very small. Build something in your kitchen, show it to your friends and family, maybe rent out a booth at the farmer's market for a weekend and see how it goes. You'll get the feedback, you'll get the tweaks, but that's how you build a business. So you could technically start a business for as little as maybe $100 or less.
In the audience here, does anyone have an idea that you guys thought about starting a product, a brand? Just by show of hands, I just want to see how many folks in the room have, all right, hey, look. This is encouraging. This is exciting, yeah? So hear from these guys, don't give up, just go after it, right? And so we're gonna open up to questions. I saw a hand at the back. I don't know if someone can give her a mic.
You have some extra mics.
We have a couple
You have
of
2 mics up here.
Maybe wait for, okay. This one. And please say your name and, just say your name and your...
Hi, my name is Jen. I run a company called Bonato, and I love your stories because we are a farmers market business. We're in person in Chicago, and I have a question about critical mass and capitalization. So in the food and beverage industry, we have a cash flow issue where you need to make the products, you make it at a certain scale to be able to deliver to the grocery retailers. But the problem is the grocery retailers do not turn around and pay you until after a certain point of time. So my question for you is, first of all, how do you reach that critical mass where you feel comfortable going into certain stores and tapping into those markets, and how do you fulfill the funding gap in between?
Yeah, I'd love to take this question, and that's a very good question, talking about the cash flow cycle. So you have amazing partners in here, Walmart being one of them, there's maybe a couple of other retailers, but they have great programs, especially for certified minority-owned entrepreneurs. There's opportunities to get paid early, whether it's a 10-day turnaround or a 3-day turnaround. There's also banking partners here, I'm assuming, that can also help with bridge gap financing. So there's a lot of opportunities here to really help you fulfill that PO. That way you can get that inventory and sell the product and get paid. And for Lola's, our cash flow cycle, it's usually within 21 days. We carry inventory just in time for what we need. We always carry a little bit extra, just in case, for certain retailers and for certain accounts, and we're able to convert that pretty quick. So work with your partners, get registered. A lot of them have terrific payment terms and terrific opportunities to help you grow and scale your business in a timely manner.
Awesome. I think I saw another hand over here. Sorry, Bijan.
I'm in tennis shoes.
Oh, it's good.
Hi, my name is Tristan. My question is, given that the theme of this conference is the power of relationships, how has relationships you have in your life accelerated business?
Want me to take that one too? I'll just
Maybe Jake. Okay.
I think all of my funding has come somewhat from my network. Not explicitly, but for example, my first investor pre-seed was a VC firm, and something as silly as, you went to Columbia? I did too. And he was sold on that, because he was like, that already means you're this smart and you did all of that work to get to Columbia, and so you must have that work ethic and you must have that grit. And actually, let me just tell you, my favorite thing to do is invest in Columbia founders. And I've had so many instances like that has led to so many open doors. And other than that, I think for me, I just couldn't have kept going without the relationships I've built within the founder network. And so, it's a really tough business. You feel really lonely. I have a husband, I have a child, I have friends, I have family. But it doesn't shield you from that loneliness you feel as a founder. And so the only way that you can keep going is to cultivate relationships within the founder community. And I think, as a woman, as an Asian, as a food and beverage founder, as a beverage alcohol founder, you want to create relationships where you can just share ideas, even things like, oh, do you know a good bookkeeper? Do you know a good hire? Don't use this agency. There are things that I've made so many expensive mistakes that I can now pass on. And I wish I had reached out a little bit earlier in my journey so I didn't have to learn so many things the hard way.
Nicely said. I saw another hand in the back.
Brian.
Oh.
Hey guys, thanks for your time and insights here. Obviously, we talked about cash being such a huge concern, and all of us, in CPG, we have different circumstances. I mean, we might be in a stage where we can afford paying for data, or we might, not be. My question for all of you is if you could share some SKU rationalization stories. Obviously, picking and committing to a new product is a huge commitment. And, I think all of us have very different paths within that. So curious, if you guys all wanted to share one story, maybe, I think it would be very insightful.
It's actually a great question. It was part of our early journey. So when we launched Fila Manila, we did cooking sauces, and in the first 12 months, I got so excited with innovation. I got so gung-ho about Filipino cuisine. It's like, let's launch 6 sauces, right? So we launched 6 sauces in glass jars, and we actually got national distribution with 4 of them. One thing we quickly learned is that, we talked about the idea of starting small and then getting consumer feedback. Our challenge is that I got so excited, we started big, and then we got consumer feedback. So right away, the market will tell you, which of the sauces are doing well, then you'll kind of learn from that lens. So as a result, we rationalized our SKUs. We dropped down from, the 5 or 6 that we had all the way down to 1 cooking sauce we're focusing on now, right? And then from that cooking sauce, we also branched off into different categories, but same story. Multiple products in different categories, look at the market feedback, look at the sales results, look at the retailer feedback, and pick out your winner from the one, right? So I think at our max, with all the LTOs, limited time offering products and collabs, we were up to 12 SKUs at one point. Now we're focusing on 3 core SKUs. And the 3 core SKUs equally, they bring about a third of the business. So it's about evenly split.
Question here in the front. Sam?
Yeah, I had a question on sort of who you see as the biggest competition. I know a little bit less about the sauces, but I do know about makgeolli. My wife is not Korean, but she hosts a K-drama club.
We'll sponsor.
She'll be very happy about that. So one thing I'm particularly thinking about is like Jinro. They got their makgeolli line. How do you see them? They got a ton of capital coming in. How do you see them as competition, and how do you plan on competing against someone like that?
So I think we have 2 competitors. One are the actual other imported makgeolli brands, but that's only competing for the Korean consumer, which is important, but it'll never be enough. The second one are beer alternatives, where we believe that we're a beer alternative, right? We're low ABV, 6%, we're canned, we're sparkling, we're casual, and most of our customers, our core customers, will say, I love this because I hate beer, and this is my beer. But that has also been a challenge for us because when we're trying to be on shelves and buyers are like, where do we place you? There's no clear answer because there is no clear competitor. And let's say I'll do an investor pitch and say, beer is our market size. They're like, no, it's not. This is not a beer. So that has been a big challenge for us. Jinro, we've talked to them several times. Makgeolli is not a priority for them because it's such a small percentage of their business. And that goes for the same for many beverage companies in Korea. So that has also been a challenge because unless they take makgeolli seriously as the #1 beverage leader in Korea, it's hard for people like us to ride any kind of wave or, we have to be the ones paving the way with our tiny $1 million budget. So thankfully we're starting to see makgeolli come out in a lot more K-dramas. And that is a huge marketing tool, right? So, we're in a funky niche category.
All right, we have time for one more question I think there's someone in the back there. Please say your name and your company.
Kathy Lee, Verizon. To what extent do you use technology to gauge trends in inventory and preferences?
Okay, I'll take that question. Yeah, so we are slowly adapting AI automation to take a look at how we go through our inventory counts, how we manage that. So really, it's still early on in the stages of what we do. For example, we work with a big redistributor called Dot Foods. They redistribute our products to hundreds of food service distributors across the country. We always want to try to monitor the inventory levels that we send to them versus what they order. Because some of these things, as you know, in the CPG space, whether it's food service or retail, a lot of these distributors might over-order or under-order, and we want to make sure they're ordering just enough. Because if they over-order, sometimes they might say, hey, we ordered too much, now you foot the bill for this. Or we want a discount, or there's some sort of deduction for it. Or if they under-order, then you're stuck sending inventory and paying extra to expedite that. So we've been really kind of taking an AI approach to build it into our ERP system to try to manage it, but it's still so new. So really what it does is it gives us guidance on what we have in inventory, and it just makes it a lot easier for us to see that, to be transparent. So we can see, okay, here's inventory here, you have inventory in this warehouse, here's what our system automation tool suggests we should do. And then of course for social media, and marketing, our team uses AI a lot. I'm not sure what exactly they do. We have an incredible team, and I know they're investing in building big things with it. So to answer your question, we're using it, we're learning about it, and we're hopeful that it can integrate and create and make our lives a lot easier.
All right, I think that's a close. So Carol, Taufeek, Jake, thank you so much for spending time, and thank you, ladies and gentlemen.